I always think of the mind like an iceberg. Did you know that only 10% of every iceberg is above the surface? The other 90% is below. And the mind is exactly the same. Many mental processes are beneath the surface, outside of awareness. They are in your unconscious. But they are still very important for your health and behavior. Let's start at the beginning. Sigmund Freud is the first person to have discovered the unconscious. Now, Freud is a controversial figure today, but some things Freud said are indisputable facts, and the existence of the unconscious is one of them. If you think about it, you know that you have an unconscious. For instance, what did you have for breakfast? You may not have been thinking about it before I asked, but you know it's there because you can remember when I draw your attention to it. We can do things unconsciously as well, such as driving or riding a bike. Your mind is doing it unconsciously. And once again, you know that because you can direct your attention to it at will. Freud called all the examples I've given so far as preconscious. The preconscious houses memories and behaviors that we can easily recall or bring into consciousness with little effort, just by paying attention. If we go back to our analogy of the iceberg, the preconscious would be the parts of the iceberg you can see just under the surface of the water, like what you had for breakfast. Things that are truly unconscious have two characteristics. First, they are barred from consciousness by considerable force, making them difficult to recall. What kinds of things are these? They are thoughts, feelings, memories that are difficult, painful, things you don't want to remember, but are etched in your mind. In a sense, it's like your mind protects you from what is painful by banishing it to the unconscious. If this is hard to believe, think of this. You've probably had an experience like going back to your hometown, smelling the air, sleeping in your childhood room, and maybe it was an emotional time, a wedding, a funeral, and suddenly you recall things that you hadn't thought about for 20, 30, 40 years. Has this ever happened to you? Maybe after a dream, you recall something deep, something painful that you thought you had forgotten. Well, you hadn't forgotten. It had just been banished to your unconscious. And it takes triggers like this, special work, often the work of psychotherapy, to remember. The second characteristic is that things in the unconscious still exert a powerful force on you. Your mood, your thinking, your behavior, even though you cannot recall them directly. Symptoms such as depression, anxiety, and even some physical mind-body symptoms derive from the unconscious. For example, a grown-up gets anxious every time they drive by their old high school. It turns out they didn't have a great experience there. Now, they're not always thinking about everything that happened back in high school when they drive by. That's all unconscious. But those memories and feelings are exerting a force on them by making them anxious. Patterns of behavior are often driven by the unconscious. For example, do you keep getting into relationships with people who are cold towards you? Is it possible that there is someone from your past who was cold? This type of person is familiar to you. You're used to that. It's an unconscious force driving you to be with a certain type of person. Many things that we do but that we don't understand are driven by unconscious, automatic feelings, memories, and beliefs. Next time you have a symptom or behavior you don't understand, you might take some time to reflect on the unconscious source. When and where and why did I feel this way before? When was the first time? It will take some effort to recall, but once you do, you can break the cycle, put the past in the past where it belongs, and find relief in the present. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider giving this video a like, sharing it, and subscribing to my channel. I'll see you in the next one.